Conclusion. Choose honor over humiliation. We have reached the end of this blueprint, but the start of your duty. The choice before the Muslim Ummah is now laid bare, stripped of all comfortable delusions and political sophistry. It is the stark, immutable choice presented by the warnings of our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the unbending laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Either we continue down the path of abandoning the comprehensive struggle, the jihad and i'dad, embracing the spiritual disease of wahan, and sinking deeper into the humiliation of dhul, or we make the conscious collective decision to return to our deen in its entirety. This is the path of return, a return that revives our sacred obligations, melts the false idols of nationalism into the crucible of true Islamic brotherhood, and instills unwavering reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, tawakkul, while exhausting every possible means, asbab. The humiliation staining the Ummah, most visibly in the bleeding wound of Palestine, is the direct, predictable consequence of neglecting our sources of strength. The Zionist entity did not become bold through its own merit. It became bold because we became weak, distracted, and divided. But before we can confront the enemy on the battlefield, we must first confront the enemy within our own souls. You must understand, the enemy's most effective weapon may not be a fighter jet, but the digital shackles on your phone. They have engineered a trap of endless passive consumption. The algorithms of Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube and other apps are designed by geniuses to be digital puppet masters. They study your brain, your desires, and your weaknesses. They feed you what you want to see, not what you need to do, to keep you chained, scrolling, and weak. Their goal is your time, your focus, and ultimately your potential. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam commanded us to take advantage of 5 before 5, your youth before your old age, your health before your sickness, your wealth before your poverty, your free time before you are preoccupied, and your life before your death. This hadith is not a gentle reminder. It is a strategic directive on resource management. Your time, your focus, and your will are your most precious resources, and they are under systematic attack. This psychological warfare is waged most viciously through pornography and secularism, the Zionists' greatest weapons against our children, our faith, and the family unit, which is the bedrock of our ummah. It is designed to shatter your haya, destroy your willpower, and replace the love for Allah with the worship of base desires. You cannot fight for a sacred cause with a corrupted soul. The first idad is to purify yourself and break these digital chains. Once your will is your own, your jihad begins in your own domain. Never belittle your contribution, for every act of idad is a foundational strike that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala records and blesses. Your jihad, your idad, begins now. For the mother and father, Do not just raise children. Raise the next generation of lions. Inculcate in them the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam above all else. Teach them the heroic stories of the Seerah, not as fairy tales, but as practical blueprints for their own lives. Instill in them a burning love for Al-Aqsa, a hatred for oppression, dhulm, and a complete absence of fear for anything besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your lap is the first training ground for the future liberators. For the student and the academic, do not just seek knowledge, weaponize it. Master your field, whether religious or worldly, with the intention of serving the Ummah's idad. The scholar must revive the true, unapologetic fiqh of jihad and resistance. The political scientist must deconstruct enemy strategies and expose collaborator regimes. The historian must reclaim our narrative from Zionist and Orientalist distortion. Your mind is a front line. For the Muslim scholar, you are the guardians of the Ummah's creed, and for this the tyrants hunt you first. They know that to kill a people, you must first kill their conscience. Your sacred duty is to be that living conscience, to speak the haqq without fear, and to fulfill Allah's command to His Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, to incite and encourage the believers for the struggle. O Prophet, motivate the believers to fight. Quran 8:65. Your courageous words are the spark that ignites the Ummah. For the technologist, engineer, and scientist, you are the modern-day forgers of the steeds of war that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands us to prepare. Your paramount mission, therefore, is not to simply code, build, or research for a salary, but to architect the very infrastructure of the Ummah's future sovereignty, both digital and physical. In the information space, this means building our own world-class, decentralized digital fortress, an Ummah-centric super app that facilitates secure communication and halal commerce, all governed by the ethical principles of our deen. But this digital fortress must be protected by a physical sword and shield. In the military realm, this means engineering the unbreakable cyber defenses that protect our infrastructure and building the military might that will deter the enemies of Islam. It means pioneering the advanced manufacturing that will finally end our humiliating dependence on our enemies for our own defense and grant the Ummah a decisive strategic edge. Your pursuit of excellence in your field, when dedicated to this cause, is a profound act of jihad and idad. For the doctor and nurse, dedicate your skills not only to aiding the wounded in conflict zones, but to building robust, self-sufficient health systems in besieged communities like Gaza, and pioneering treatments for the unique physical and psychological traumas inflicted by the enemy. Your excellent work is a profound act of supporting the steadfastness, sumud, of the mujahideen and the oppressed. For the wealthy and the business owner, do not just accumulate wealth, fuel the engine of jihad in the best way. Your zakat and sadaqah are not mere charity. They are strategic investments, financing the resistance and the technological i'adad that gives us an edge, funding independent media that can outmaneuver Zionist hasbara, and building a global ecosystem of halal businesses that aggressively boycotts the enemy and their supporters. These are the most excellent uses of the trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed in your hands. Your wealth is the fuel for the engine of this ummah's revival and the lifeblood of our resistance and the lifeline for our besieged people. For the artist, writer, and media professional, do not just create content, shatter the enemy's psychological warfare in the best way. Expose Zionist brutality with truth and a power that is undeniable. Tell the stories of Palestinian heroes with a beauty that inspires love and courage. You are the engineers of the Ummah's heart and soul. Never underestimate the power of a single perfectly crafted narrative.
For the protester, the activist, the voice in the streets, do not just chant. Make your activism strategic and effective in the best way. Your energy is a precious resource. Your shouts against the Zionist entity are vital, but they must be matched by a deafening roar against the collaborator regimes who act as their jailers. Know that our most potent strategic weapons, our truthful Muslim scholars who fear none but Allah, are being held captive not just by the Zionists, but by their Arab clients who tremble for their thrones. Their crime, in the eyes of these fragile thrones, was daring to speak the truth about Palestine, challenging the treachery of rulers, and calling for the application of Allah's supreme law, the very principles that are the lifeblood of this ummah's revival. Your new front line is their liberation. Do the impossible to free these men, a fraction of whom include,
from the prisons of Saudi Arabia, Sheikh Khaled al-Rashed, a powerful orator imprisoned since 2005. His initial sentence was dramatically increased to over 40 years for a sermon defending the honor of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sheikh Salman al-Odeh, a globally recognized scholar, arrested in September 2017. His crime? A simple tweet praying for reconciliation between Gulf states, implicitly contradicting the regime's aggressive stance. Sheikh Awad al-Qarni, a prominent author and preacher, also arrested in September 2017. He faces the death penalty for his alleged crimes, which amount to his influential Islamic discourse. Sheikh Ali al-Umari, a popular Islamic media personality, arrested in September 2017 and also threatened with execution by the state prosecution. Sheikh Omar al-Muqbil, a respected professor of Islamic law, arrested in 2019 after criticizing the regime's introduction of un-Islamic entertainment. From the prisons of Egypt, Sheikh Hazem Salah Abu Ismail, the influential jurist and former presidential candidate, unjustly imprisoned since the military coup of July 2013. His crime? His unapologetic call for the supremacy of Sharia and his immense popularity made him an intolerable threat to the secular establishment. Yet the regime's attempt to silence him has backfired spectacularly. Since his captivity, his powerful lectures explaining a direct, clear, and fearless Islam have gone viral all over the internet, inspiring a new generation starved of the truth. Dr. Mahmoud Izzat, former acting guide of the Muslim Brotherhood, a physician by trade, arrested in August 2020 and facing multiple life sentences for opposing the military regime. Sheikh Mahmoud Sha'ban, a professor at Al-Azhar University known for his direct and charismatic style. Dr. Abdel Mun'im Abu al-Futuh,
a former presidential candidate and prominent physician, arrested in February 2018 for political dissent. Hazem Salah, not a scholar, but a judge and former head of Egypt's accountability agency, imprisoned in 2018 for daring to expose the scale of government corruption. These men, along with thousands of other political prisoners, many of them scholars, thinkers, and activists of the Islamic movement, who have been held in Sisi's and other Arab dictators' prisons for over a decade. These are not just names, they are the captured flag-bearers of our deen. Your every tweet, every chant, every protest is a strike against the machinery of tyranny. Expand your struggle, demand that Muslim nations ban the poison of pornography and reform the Zionist corrupted educational curricula that pacify our children. Make the political price of holding our ulama and corrupting our youth so unbearably high that these tyrants are forced to break their chains and reverse their course. Freeing our scholars is freeing the mind of our ummah. Your voice is a weapon. Use it with excellence. And for every believer, man and woman, young and old, purify yourself. This is the greatest jihad. Fix your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Perfect your salah. Excel in your domain and beg Allah for His aid, for victory comes only from Him. Boycott. Enforce a ruthless and comprehensive boycott of the enemy and its collaborators in your life. This is your personal economic sanction against genocide. Educate. Dedicate time every single day to educating yourself and your family about Islam and the Palestinian cause from an authentic Islamic perspective. Make dua. The Prophet ﷺ said, "The dua is the weapon of the believer, a pillar of the religion, and a light for the heavens and the earth. Never, ever underestimate the power of your supplication." Wage war in the digital space. Understand that the digital space is now a primary battlefield, and at present, the Ummah is occupied territory. Platforms like Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube are not neutral services. They are instruments of psychological warfare. They are the main pipelines for the pornographic filth designed to destroy the haya, or modesty, of our youth, and the primary tools for Zionist and Western espionage through mass surveillance. They are choke points of control, where the truth about Palestine is systematically censored, while mindless distractions are amplified to keep our ummah sedated and weak. Your jihad here is to break these digital chains, counter their lies with truth, and relentlessly demand that any Muslim nation with a sliver of honor remaining ban these poisons. They must build our own powerful, secure digital ecosystems, as nations like China, WeChat, have done to protect their sovereignty. This act of digital liberation is a paramount duty of leadership that the people must demand. Ignite another's fire. My brother, my sister, the enemy has spent billions to make us fear and misunderstand the most honorable concepts of our deen, especially jihad. They sowed confusion to disarm us spiritually. But this blueprint you now hold is a tool to reclaim that honor and clarity. Our goal now is not to argue with the defeatist or convince the unwilling. Our strategy is more precise. It is to reach the nucleus of this ummah's revival, the sincere, courageous souls whose hearts are already burning for truth and justice, who are just waiting for a clear path forward. These are the people who, when awakened and united, will form the critical mass that creates the tipping point, reawakening the entire body of the Ummah. And this is where your personal jihad begins. Think right now of 5 people in your life. Not just any 5,
but those in whom you see that spark of sincere fire. Perhaps it is a grieving soul, whose heart bleeds for Palestine, but whose mind is clouded by enemy propaganda. Perhaps it is a youthful lion, whose righteous anger is pure, but needs the strategic direction of the Seerah. Perhaps it is an influential professional, who has a platform, but hesitates to speak with full force. Perhaps it is a loved one, a family member you fear is being lost to the distractions of this world. Perhaps it is a sincere non-Muslim, whose conscience is horrified by the genocide and is searching for a true system of justice. Your mission is to personally deliver this blueprint to them. Gift them a physical copy that they can hold, underline, and reflect upon. Share the PDF or the audiobook so they can absorb these truths on their own time. Don't just forward a link. Talk with them. Discuss its lessons. This act of sharing is a profound gift of clarity in an age of confusion.
This is the jihad of the tongue and the pen. It is a crucial component of Idad against the ignorance that suffocates our people. You are now a guardian of this knowledge. It is your sacred trust to pass it on. And finally, to every Muslim, especially in the West, unleash the jihad of dawah. Invite others to the profound beauty, justice, and truth of Islam, not with aggression, but with the excellence of your character and the wisdom of your words. The West is spiritually vacant and morally bankrupt. Its people are starved for the truth. Your dawah is a strategic offensive into the heart of the enemy's civilization. The blueprint for Ihdad is before you. The divine command has been issued. But remember this with absolute certainty. The Zionist entity is doomed to perish. This is Sunnatullah. History does not bend for arrogance, and the laws of the Creator are immutable. And because His laws are immutable, our duty to prepare and defend the oppressed is not a mere suggestion. It is central to the execution of His will. The daily televised slaughter of defenseless children and women has now established the Hujjah, the conclusive proof upon the entire world. The veil of ignorance has been torn away forever. No one can stand before their Lord and claim, "I did not know." Understand, then, that the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shall be victorious with or without you. The only choice left is whether you will be part of Allah's victorious plan, a plan where every believer wages their jihad from their own domain, or whether you will suffer the humiliation of this life and the torment of the next for abandoning His cause. Therefore, embrace this struggle, not as a burden, but as the very source of your honor and elevation. Stand firm with the certainty of a believer who knows the outcome has already been written by the Lord of the worlds. Let the lessons of Badr, Uhud, Khandaq, and the command for I'dad ignite a fire in your heart, a fire of righteous fury against tyranny and oppression, a fire of unshakable faith in Allah, and a fire of absolute resolve to strive in His cause. Strive until Palestine and all Muslim nations are liberated.
Strive until the banner of La ilaha illallah flies high over Al-Quds, free from the abomination of Zionist occupation. And strive until the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is supreme, bi-idhnillah.
Remember Allah's promise. And those who strive for our cause, we will surely guide them to our ways. And indeed, Allah is with the doers of good.